Unit 5, Part 1 notes. I can identify polynomials and their characteristics. First off, we're going to go over some vocabulary. We've got polynomial, and that is just one or more algebraic terms being added or subtracted. Subtraction is just adding the negative value. So here we have examples of polynomials. We've got 7x squared, so that is a term right there, plus 5x, so that's another term, and then minus 3, so that's another term. So we would call this a 3-term polynomial. We'll talk more about that in specific in a couple slides. One thing to note is that it can contain constants. So constants are numbers with no variables. So just like your normal whole numbers, integers, they don't have a variable. Variables, it can contain variables. X, Y, M, doesn't matter the letter that's being used, it can contain them. And it can have exponents, so those little numbers raise those powers that we're raising the variable to. What it can't have is no negative exponents or fraction exponents. So if you look down here, you can see an example with a negative exponent, so that makes it a non-example. You also can't have variables in the denominator, and you can't have square roots for your variables. So got some examples and then non-examples so you know what it looks like and what it doesn't look like. So now here we have different types of polynomials. So a monomial is a one-term polynomial. So you can see some examples down here. Really the big characteristic is you're not going to see an addition or subtraction sign. It's just going to be a number. It could be a negative number, it could be a positive number, but there will not be any addition or subtraction after that. So you can see here, these would be non-examples because they have those addition and subtraction symbols. Next, we have a binomial. You can think of bi as in bicycle. There's two wheels. Bi is commonly two. So two-term polynomial. And this will just have two terms, so two things being added and subtracted. So 7x minus 5, you've got one term, two terms, one subtraction sign. So over here you can see some non-examples. We've got a monomial, so that's not a binomial. Here this has more than two terms, so it's not a binomial, it would just be a polynomial. And then here, this one is kind of tricky right here, but it's because it's got that negative exponent, so it still can't have that negative exponent like a polynomial can. So a binomial is a certain classification of polynomial. And then the last one is trinomial. So these are going to be the three big polynomials that we'll use: monomial, binomial, and trinomial. So tri, like tricycle or triangle, is a 3-term polynomial. And again, same characteristics as a polynomial, what it can contain, except for it's just going to have 3 terms. So like this, we have 6x to the 4th minus 7x squared plus 1. We've got 1, 2, 3 things being added or subtracted. And then over here you can see those non-examples again as well. So here I want you to go ahead and pause the video and try this on your own. I want you to classify the given polynomials into the following categories. So you have monomial, binomial, trinomial, and not a polynomial. So monomial, remember, is that one term, binomial is 2 terms, trinomial is 3 terms. Not a polynomial, so you're looking for those negative exponents or variables in the denominator. So go ahead and give this a try, and then once you've done that, you can resume the video. All right, and if you'd like the answers to this, I will show you those at the end of this video. All right, our next piece of vocab is standard form. So standard form for polynomials is when the terms are written in descending order from largest exponent to smallest exponent. So we're looking at the little numbers next to the variable. So as you can see, this polynomial is written starting with 4, going to 3, going to 2. If there's no exponent, there's really a 1 there. And then you can see here the constant that has no variable will always be the last term if there is a constant. Additionally, we have what's called the leading coefficient, and that's just the first big number, the first number that's next to the variable with the highest exponent. And then we have degree. Degree is just the power of the highest exponent. So this polynomial would be degree 4. So here you can see more examples of polynomials in standard form, here at the bottom left. And here you can see non-examples. So while these are still polynomials, they're just not written in that standard form. All right, so now you are going to practice. So on the next slide, you're going to be given puzzle pieces to complete the puzzle. So you're going to classify each polynomial by its degree. So the degree, remember, is that highest exponent. So here you can see our exponent is 7, so it's degree 7. Then you're going to give it the leading coefficient. So remember, that's just that big first number next to the degree. And then tell if it's a monomial, polynomial, binomial, trinomial, what type of polynomial it is. So you can see I've given you a puzzle piece for each one of them, and you just have to finish each of the puzzles up. After you complete these problems, you can answer these 2 questions on the next slide, and then make sure you complete your check-in quiz on Schoology. All right, and here are the answers to that practice piece that was in the middle of the video. So you can go ahead and check your work here. Things that usually are confusing would be the difference between like this one being a polynomial and this one not being a polynomial. They both have fractions. However, since this one only has a number in the bottom, we can split that up, and that would be 2/5 x plus 3/5 y, which would still be a 2-term polynomial, so a binomial. The issue with this one is that it's a variable in the denominator. So if we rewrote that, it would be -7x to the -2nd power. So then that would have a negative power. So you can't have a variable in the denominator, but you can just have a number in the denominator. So that's what makes the difference there. Otherwise, if you have any questions about this and you want to go further in depth, you can always email me or join my office hours.